Good morning. Good morning, everybody. Happy Saturday. It is October the 21st. So we are well into my birthday month and getting it going. So, if you have noticed across the markets, we have fallen. We sort of been taking advantage of this since August, beginning of August. So what we were looking for was to see if the market was going to hold that 200, and woo, y'all, excuse me, it's early. So this week, instead of doing live, I am recording and hopefully getting it posted in time. All right, so let us move on to our economic data coming this week. So we do have a pretty data heavy week. Starting with Monday, the Fed index is not going to be much. And then Tuesday, oh, here we go with the y'all. Sorry, y'all. Guess I should have made sure I was up first. Tuesday, 9:45 a.m., we have a PMI flash coming out. On Wednesday, we have these mortgage applications, purchases. You have new home sales, crude data, and that's really about it. Now, Wednesday at 4:35, Powell is speaking. That's not going to affect us because it's aftermarket, but still something you want to be aware of. I didn't think he was going to do much of this last time, and he apparently did enough to make the markets go down. So we're always aware of it. Thursday, we have our normal jobless claims, but we also have the GDP growth rate, goods, trades, balance, wholesale inventories, all of that on Thursday morning. We got a Fed speaker as well. And then on Friday, we have PCE, core PCE price index, Michigan consumer sentiment, and Fed's speaking. So it's a lot going on next week. Y'all, I cannot stop yawning. I was not doing this before I turned this mic on. I promise y'all. I promise you. Alrighty. So let's get started. Okay, I didn't mean to have this on the month, but now that we're here, you can see what's going on. Now, one thing I do want to point out before we get into these charts, I'm going to go through the regular things that we go through. We have a new 2-week setup coming, so I'm going to go through the 2-week setups. And then we also have a new 7-week candle starting. Shout out to Sal, 5-star General Sal, for having me starting to look at the 7-week. Like, it's really awesome for swings. And if you catch a setup, you can catch a really good move. You will see that a lot of these made really decent moves. If you look at this 7-week chart, the chart told you it was going to happen. You just had to give it time. Okay, so looking at the VIX, I just removed the downtrend line that I had on the VIX. I probably should have left it up here so y'all could see me actually remove it. But this was the downtrend it was in, and I removed it because it broke above, came back, retested, broke above again, ended as a doji, and the bulls looked like they took control there. So if you notice, we have broken out of the short-term downtrend. There's still a long-term downtrend, monthly downtrend that we are in. So I'm looking to see the VIX possibly head up to the top of this broadening formation. It may even try to go for this candle here, which would slightly break it out of this downtrend. I mean, to start over. I don't know why all of a sudden I just started yawning so much. No, the charts don't bore me. I love charts. So yeah, it may try to go for this because now, this will be the first target here at this 23.13. If we can break past that, the broadening formation will be my next target. And then this one here at this 28.85, which would slightly break it above this downtrend. So we'd have to see if that'll be able to hold. Okay, so looking at it on the daily, also, boom. What do we talk about? This 200, right? We see what has happened here. We made an inverted head and shoulders right here, or you want to call it a W, whatever. Either way, the bulls defended this level and it has now boomed off of it. So there is plenty of room for the VIX to move to the upside. What does that mean? That means we can see more reds in the markets. All right, and you can see that when you look at these charts. All right, seasonality, yeah, we were expecting a turnaround in October, but the charts are not telling us that. The charts are saying we are still bearish. Even on this weekly here, we're in a big inverted head and shoulders. If the VIX wanted to come all the way back to this quarter and month open, it can do that, and then this shoulder would still be valid. All right, and now we have full time frame continuity. On our side, that's green. I'm so sorry, y'all. I hate yawning in people's ear. And I've done it like 8 times since we started. And this is just really ridiculous. Alrighty. So DXY at the dollar. Now we know that we've had this long move. This super strong move here. Then it printed this evening star up here. Now it has not done anything since then. It's just kind of been sideways. Kind of sitting right around the quarter and month open. So if DXY does an inside breakdown, it can turn, well, the time frame continuity will continue red, and then we can have some probably correction pullback here. Again, I would be looking for it to, well, it already bounced at the 23% level. So my next level, of course, would be this 38, that 104. And then 103.46 will be the halfway of this move here. So that's what we would be looking for, okay? But right now we do have an inside week, and we are still above the 200 on the daily. NASDAQ. So NASDAQ, a lot of these, this is going to be the thing that you're going to see, have broken through the quarter and month open, flipped our time frame continuity red. Now, remember last week, or the week before, when we started, we had a new quarter, new month, new week. Time frame continuity was really crazy. It was out of whack. Over the last couple of weeks, you will notice who kind of took control. It was a fight. The bulls had control, and the bears sent it right back down. Okay. Overall, we are bearish right now. There's nothing in these charts indicating a reversal yet. And remember, that's what we look for. We want the charts to tell us. But right now, the charts are telling us that we are still bearish. The bears are still in control. They are still shorting the rip. All right, so that's where you got on the week. There's no setup here, but there is more room to the downside. Of course, we said that we have all of this. Even again, halfway this move would be probably about right here, 13,326. I try not to leave these up here because it's too confusing. Oh, I was close. No, what did I say? I think I did say here, y'all. I can't remind you. You rewind it and look, but that's what I'm really targeting. All right, and of course, you know, we do have the broaden information and these EMAs. So 14,429, possibly this 14,415, and then down here is 13,206. You still in this head and shoulders on the weekly. I mean, on the weekly, there's a head and shoulders, y'all. So, you know, we are bearish. On our daily, we still have room to get down here to our 200. So remember that it's definitely going to be a strong level of support there. And then we do have a gap fill here that will help us move towards that 50% level that we're looking on that weekly move. None of this is bullish, y'all. Even with you had a base and run here, it still got shorted at the top of this trend line. Okay, so any more moves up, that's what we would expect. That it may make it up here, but it's going to get shorted at the top of this trend line. Now here you have, this was a whole shoulder that boomed, and now this is a head. So you got a shoulder, another shoulder area here. So if it wants to come back up here to this 14,906 and then be supported, well, this is the shoulder area, 14,906 to 14,452. Okay, it looks like it's breaking down there, but again, we do have plenty of room to the downside. So don't think that, oh, we've been falling. We can still fall a lot more. Always may need some corrective activity, but there's definitely room to fall. The Dow, as usual, not doing a whole lot, except if you caught this outside week, that was beautiful. What you would be looking for from here would be to see if the bears would continue with a 3-2 down. If it's a 3-1, which is usually what happens after a strong move like that, you don't want to touch it until it keeps breaking down. It's looking like it's breaking down though. You got your shoulder here, you got your head. We are in a shoulder area, so we definitely could also chop a little bit before we make our next leg down. Remember, we do legs, so we have a leg, it may chop, and then you have another leg down. All right, looking at it on the daily, we have broken the 200, and y'all know for me that is bearish as long as we stay under it. How did we do that? We broke under, came back up, retested, rejected, and came back down. This is in bearish territory for me now. I am bearish. Unless we can break above and hold above 341.53, I am bearish on this. Again, you have your head and shoulders here. Shoulder can come all the way up to this 200. But this is, for me, definitely in short the rip mode. Oh, and your time frame continuity is red. Again, IWM time frame continuity is red. IWM was in this chop area forever, and it looks like it's finally breaking below it, which surprised me. It took forever to struggle up, and finally, where was that gap? It was on the daily. It was it this gap? Yes, because y'all know we was talking about this forever, right? If you've been following me for a while, since at least March when we gapped down here, we waited through all of this for it to fill this little teeny tiny gap, finally boomed up, made a head and shoulders, and came right back down. And now it's passing through this entire chop area that it chopped through for the longest, y'all. I thought that when it came back down here, I was like, oh my God, it's coming back into the chop area. Well, it just kind of, it moved a little bit through it, but now it's making its way past it. All right, so we're going to go down to this area over here, bottom of this broadening formation, but we are definitely bearish. Again, we have broken way below the 200, and it hasn't even tested it as a resistance yet, but it's using the EMAs as a form of resistance. Again, if you've been following me for a while, you know how that works. You broke below, come back up, retest, and reject. All right, so we're kind of far away from here now. I would expect that we may possibly come back up and retest it before continuing another leg lower. The Qs look just like a NASDAQ. You got a weekly head and shoulders for the most part here. You have a lot of room to fall. If you look at it on the monthly, it's just been kind of sitting up here, waiting probably for earnings season. Now, that's another thing. Earnings season is upon us. So I think it would take a lot of strong earnings reports to save the market right now. But looking at what happened with Netflix, we're not going to rule it out. Okay, as bearish as these charts seem, Netflix could be the one that, I mean, not Netflix. Some of these could pull a Netflix, which could help them recover and actually push to the upside. But we are going to expect that they are bearish because for the most part, the charts are showing us that we are bearish. On the Qs, you see that we are in a downtrend. You see that we have these head and shoulders. It would need to break above 374 for us to break this ongoing downtrend that we have. Time frame continuity is completely red here. So we know who's in control. Now, we are still above our 200. So that's going to be my first major support, this 345 area. I want you to notice though, even though we are still above the 200, The EMAs are crossing and turning down. Almost all of these are turning down, okay? And crossing below. This red one here is my 50. So my 5 and my 30 are crossing below and turning down, all right? You got your shoulder, your head. This is the shoulder area. So looking a lot like the NASDAQ, like I just said, but we're going to target that 345 and then this gap fill here at 333. That's what we're still going for. SPY looks kind of like the Qs. Head and shoulders. All right. We were in this kind of flag area. Now remember, this yellow trend line here is what we've been watching as far as this uptrend that we have been in since October of last year. So for a year now, we have almost been in this uptrend. Now it topped out here in August, okay, and since then we have been in a short-term downtrend, but we knew that this right here was a key level, and it agreed because we tested it, rejected, came back, tested it again, rejected, didn't quite test it here, and now we have broken through it. Now, one thing I want to point out, when you have a support level, whether it be a trend line, a broadening formation, a horizontal line, support, strat levels, things like that, when you see something test a level more than once, regardless, depending on what you're looking for, so if you see it tested to the downside more than once, it's going to get weak after it keeps getting tested. Okay, same thing to the upside. If you see a level test something to the upside, it's going to get weak the more it gets tested, and you can expect that it will possibly break through or fall hard. Same thing here. When you're seeing it test this support, you can either expect that it's going to fall hard through it after it tests it so many times, because remember, testing support means it's eating up orders that's here. So it's either going to fall through really hard or it's going to recover and reject really hard. All right, and so what we saw here is that it's fallen through. So this is what I really want to point out to everybody. This major trend line right here that we've been kind of working around, we have fallen through it. So we made an outside week last week. You know, after outside weeks, a lot of times we can have an inside week where we don't do much before we make our next leg down. And in fact, even though we have all this data, we could have an inside week, but what would be even better if this does a 3-2 down. Now we know a 3-2 isn't necessarily a strat signal, but for us, what it is it means that the three that we have here, the bears are in control. The 2 down would show that they're still in control. All right, then we're going to make it down to this 416 area. Now, I'm not sure why I have this line here. Oh, that's the broadening formation. That's what I'm just wondering what that was. So yeah, so looking at SPY on this, you got the head and shoulders, everything is bearish, and it's also on the weekly below all of the EMAs. I want y'all to know that that's pretty big. For here, the last 3 weeks, we have been kind of in between these two, and it broke down. So that right there is showing you the bears are in control, y'all. I'm completely bearish. I've been bearish, but I was thinking that we were going to possibly get saved here at the 200. And we did a little bit. Washed below a little bit, came back above, broke above, came back down, and again was tested again, and it was weak. All right, so look how it tested it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 tests. All right, and then it was a resistance here. It broke above, came back down, and because it has been tested so many times, the support was weak. That's what I wanted to point out to you guys. All right. On the daily, we are now back below our 200. So this is going to be the level. You know, it's the quarter and the month open as well. So we know that that will be the level that would flip us from red to green as far as time frame continuity. Okay, so 425, 426 is the level. That's the most important level for right now, because that is your 200, and that is the level that is either going to be support or resistance. Once now that we've broken through it, I would look for it to be resistance again. Not to say it's going to do something like this, but if it did, that would be a nice catch. You also see that you have an inverted head and shoulders. Your shoulder area comes all the way up to 436. Okay, it would need to really break above and possibly fill this little. That's not even the gap is almost filled, so you can't even, to me, count this as a gap. But it would have to make a higher high here at 438.47 to break out of this head and shoulders that we have here. And then we are even still in a downtrend here, so it would need to get above 443 to break that downtrend that we have. All right, so downtrend target, down targets, 420 is going to be a strong support level. Coming down to this broadening formation here at 419. And then we do have this little teeny gap at 407 is going to be my major, my next, not major, but my next support level. But you can see right here, this chop area, that's going to be your support. So 414 would be a good level to say that it would get to once it breaks past 420 in this level here. But yeah, these charts are telling us we're going down, y'all. Apple. So Apple has earnings, I believe, in November. Yeah, the first week in November. So again, we could fall for the rest of the month, and then Apple could save the market. But one thing, look at all of this. We do still have a lot of room to move down if we wanted to. Okay, so we came down, tested the 23, recovered a little bit, tested the 38, recovered a little bit. If you go off this pattern where it recovers and then test the next one and recovered, we can expect it to come down here to this 161, which is about halfway up this move, just to give us some correction. But right now it's in between EMAs, and you do have a head and shoulders here, but it's in between EMAs. So I would like for it to lose this 171.39 to flip our month and quarter red, to show us that we're going to see more downside. Also, we are sitting at our 200, so that's the level that's going to need to break. Then you do have a gap. Nope, this gap got filled. That gap got filled, so there is no gap to target there. There is one tiny one here at 158.47, but then I guess that would be keeping in line with this move. And if you look at it on the weekly, it's an ugly shoulder, but shoulder, head, shoulder. So it can definitely come down and give us that move to that 50% level. So keep your eye out on Apple. Microsoft. Now, Microsoft tried to break this weekly trend line, downtrend line, and as you can see, it rejected. Now you have a almost shooter on the week. So looking for that 2 up, 2 down to come back through this range and come to the bottom of the broadening formation. Okay, so out of the rest of them though, Microsoft is the only one that is still above its EMAs. Okay, the 200 is way down here, but all of the EMAs, Microsoft is still above it. So I may have missed it. I was not watching Microsoft as much this week. Maybe they had some type of news there or something. But also keep in mind you have an inverted head and shoulders here. All right, so you're in your shoulder area still, and you have earnings on Tuesday. How did I miss that? I think I did not look at earnings this week, because I saw that Apple was November 1st, and so that means that I don't know why I thought that meant that Microsoft would be similar, but no. And I'm gonna post this, you guys, but the major ones. So Microsoft has earnings on Tuesday. That's going to change things up a little bit. All right, I probably should have looked at that before I started recording, but that's how things go. All right, so remember when looking through the list and the weekly list and things like that, remember that it's earnings season, so earnings may affect some of your plays. All right, we know that Microsoft is a market mover. So what Microsoft does can determine a lot for the market. A lot. So you got Microsoft on Tuesday. On Wednesday, you have Meta. Now, Meta does not move the market like Microsoft, but it moves it. Okay. So Wednesday, you have Meta. And then Thursday, it's Amazon. Friday, you have your oil. Exxon, Chevron, things like that. So keep that in mind. It's interesting because there's no way to tell what Microsoft will do from here. Okay. I believe that with technicals, earnings just really does not, earnings can blow it out the water. You can say it can go either way, but earnings can blow it out. Now, looking at it on the weekly, like I said, we have a shooter here, but Microsoft last earnings, what's the last earnings? The last earnings, it was at the top of a trend line and it died. Y'all hear that, right? So the last earnings, right before, it was at the top of the trend line and died. Look where it's at now. Okay, so it could come down all the way down here. It could come down and test the 200. We have a huge gap from the earnings in April that we could possibly go for. That's a long way down, but things we're going to make note of. We do have a huge gap here that we could possibly fill. That would really drop the markets a lot, y'all, and turn this a different way. But Microsoft is still in this downtrend, so we'll just have to see kind of what earnings brings. But those are the levels that you can look for. And to the upside, it really would need to break 341 to break out this downtrend. And again, earnings can do that. This is almost a daily cup and handle here, especially if it holds support right here. If it breaks through here, it's going to invalidate that. But if it holds here, this cup and handle, we're above all of the EMAs, this could definitely boom out. But we'd have to break this strong downtrend. So keep that in mind. Microsoft earnings coming up. Also, Meta earnings coming up. Now, Meta has this is not a cup and handle, but it's not bearish for the most part. You do have a daily M here, or almost head and shoulders. But for the most part, it's kind of flagging. Let me show y'all. Let's do this in there. We're making higher lows, see? So you got this flag. So Meta, it'd be interesting to see what it does. If it does break through this flag area, we know it's going to come down here. And that's going to end up being like more like an M, even though it's a TTO. Just remember that. You got a TTO here. So this TTO could be that M that brings it down, or it could break out from this flag. All right, so Meta has earnings. Keep that in mind. We're way above our 200, so there's plenty of room. There is a gap all the way down here if it wants to fill that. I believe we filled this big old gap here, and that's why it's been flagging, because we were filling that gap. There are no more upside gaps, I don't think. Oh yeah, we never filled that one. So 317 is what we're looking for. Did we not fill that? Oh no, we filled it. Yeah, we did fill it. So I think that's it as far as the gaps with Meta. Yeah. Yep. All right. And then what else was it? Amazon also has earnings, and you have your head and shoulders here on the weekly. Now Amazon is sitting at a strong support here. All right, this 123, 125 area, you see we're right above, well, we're sitting in between these two EMAs, but we're above a lot of them. Right here on the weekly, you can see we are in a shoulder area. There's your head. So interesting to see what it does. It's full time frame continuity right now. That is red. So will it hold this trend line? Because Amazon can drop with earnings and still hold that trend line. So just understand, like, as bearish as I am, I'm still understanding these trend lines and where things may recover, especially from earnings. But these charts are showing me we are bearish. Amazon is saying so bearish right here. My strong support is going to be at this 123, of course, and then you do have a gap, small gap here to target. It's been a while since we've been looking at things like that. Y'all remember? We would look at gaps to target. All right, so that's it with that. Quickly, let's go through these sectors. One thing I'm going to do with the sectors is I'm going to go through the weekly, the 2 week, and the 7 week just quickly, because those are the new bars that are starting. So XLY, let's start with the 7 week. No actionable signal there. Kind of, sort of. Remember what I told y'all with these threes, this is not quite a shooter, but we ended at the close. Like, the close is down here. What you want to see is it do a 3-2 down to continue that possible, like this here. You see this 3 and then this 2 down? That's what you want to see. You want to catch that move if it wants to still go. If it does something like a 3, this doji 2, leave it alone. Or if it does like a 3-1 or a 3-2 up hammer, leave it alone. You're looking for that 3-2 down. All right. On the weekly, no actionable signal there. XLK, no actionable signal. We are at the quarter and month open. On the 2 week, you do have a almost outside bar candle here that could possibly finish on the next one. So there is an actionable almost shooter here for you to play. This one barely went 2 down. So you could almost treat this as an inside candle. Basically it's 2 resting candles, but maybe it's going to do something like this. All right, it's plenty of room for it to did a TTO here. There's plenty of room to drop. So watch XLK on the 7 week bar to keep moving down. No actionable signal here on your financials. On the 2 week bar, you do have a 3 almost shooter. So if the bears want to continue, you're looking for a possible 3-2 down. On the weekly, it's an outside bar. So your 3-2 down on the week would trigger your 3-2 down on the 2 week. Okay. XLC. Again, this is kind of like the other one where this almost stayed inside, but it didn't quite. But it gives you room for this to possibly move to the downside. Okay. On your 2 week, you have a absolutely beautiful gravestone doji here that could trigger the other. Okay, so you also have on the week, you got an inside week. You got your 2-1, so your 2-1 2 down, which will trigger the quarter and the month red, will trigger this 2 week down. Okay, which will also trigger that 7 week down. So watch that for XLC. XLE, there's not an actionable signal here unless you want to call this an evening star. The only way I would say this is an evening star is if XLE broke below 84.49 and started to head to the downside, because we know the evening stars are at the top of an uptrend, and we also know that they gap up and they usually create a doji. So we're going to be aware of it, but not quite sure. On your 2 week though, you have an inside week. It's green, but there's no actionable candle there. And on the weekly, you have a possible red strap. So again, it's a little bit conflicting, but this weekly candle almost looks like an evening star, just like the 7 week candle looks like an evening star. So this 1-2 up, this rev strat could trigger, one triggers the other. All right, so your rev strat could trigger your 2 week down, which would trigger your 7 week evening star down. Those type of things we like to look for with the strat. One triggers the other. Okay, XLU, you do have a 2 up, 2 down actionable signal here that could trigger your 2-week inside down. And there's no actionable signal in the 7-week, but we are full-time frame continuity red. XLI also again full-time frame continuity red, no actionable signal on the 7-week, but on the 2-week you do have a possible 3-2 down if the bears continue. You got your head here, and here's your shoulder, your entire shoulder area. Okay, so we can come all the way back up to 104. It looks like it already did retest that. And breaking 96.77 will be pretty major, but I mean, this is a textbook head, and you see this whole shoulder right here, right? And then the head, and then we can shoulder however long before our next leg down. All right, no actionable signal there on the weekly. XLV, you have a 3 that brought us below our quarter and month open, so possible 3-2 down can continue this downtrend. On the 2-week, you have a 2 up, 2 down. So the 3-2 down could trigger the 2 up, 2 down on the 2-week. There's no actionable signal here on the 7-week. Same with XLP, no actionable signal. On the 2-week, you do have an inside candle here. No actionable candle style, but it's almost a shooter. So this possible rev strat here with XLP, the 1 2 up 2 down could trigger your 2-week inside down. All right, XLRE real estate still dying, still dying, still dying. It has broken a major support, so it can still keep coming. It broke out of this monthly flag, and we know that that means that there's a large move coming, similar to GS if anybody caught that. But yeah, we know this is a large move down for the most part, and it still has room to possibly go down. This outside bar almost finished, so if it does and keeps going, we do, again, there's a lot of room for it to fall. You got your possible 3-2 down that can trigger your 2-week bar. All right, XLB, nothing here on the weekly. On the 2-week, same thing, you have a 3, so a possible 3-2 down continuation if it continues to go. And then nothing here on your 7-week. XOP, this is not quite evening star, so it's not really a candle body or actionable signal or setup that I would particularly care for. On the 2-week, the same thing, there's nothing there. On the weekly, you possibly have an almost gravestone doji here, so if it does a 2 up 2 down, that is an actionable signal. All right, XRT, you got a rev strat here on the week. It's kind of in a chop area, so I really don't like that, but you know, retail, again, I'm still waiting for retail to possibly have the run like airplanes and transportation had for the summer, being that we are approaching the holiday season, so I will be watching them to see if they will recover. There we go. Sorry, y'all. Hadn't yawned in a while, right? I had some coffee. All right. Speaking of jets, ouch. And I mean ouch. Like, we had our run, and then it just, the bear stepped right back in. So does it have room to go? Yes, it does. It can still go some more. 1477. If it wanted to come all the way down to 2-week lows, 52-week lows, it can do that. No actionable signal. This kind of looks like BA, where it's just been dying for so long. The actionable signal was here, that 212. But yeah, it's just been dying for weeks. It's one of those things where you have a PMG if it decides to recover. There's a lot. I mean, it could do one candle and take out, honestly, 1, 2, 3. One strong candle with some BA news could PMG that. So watch this, and I think it's Moderna and BA. Moderna, yeah. But I don't know. Moderna was on the monthly, but and then BA, see? Just straight down. Now, this isn't a PMG anymore because of this candle, but I mean, for the most part, like one big candle just to even test this 200 up here would take out 5 of these. So keep that in mind. Same thing, you guys. I mean, look at this. Oh. So now we do still have room. 4204 would be the next target there. However, this is not an actionable signal. Just showing you it's looking just like Jets, where it's just doesn't look like it has a bottom yet. So you can possibly catch it on the retest. You see it gives you retest here. It falls, retested the EMA and fell. It fell, so I would look for it to possibly retest that EMA before it fell more. Or it could just keep going. It does have a teeny little gap here that it may want to go for. But it's clearly in a downtrend. Alright, SMH. I believe I wanted to show something. Was it the quarter? It was the quarter. Before I even get to that, SMH, we're looking to see if it's going to trigger the quarter. So watch your chips, y'all. 139.76 is going to trigger that quarter down. Okay, no 7-week signal here, but we do know that that quarter trigger is there. So on the 2-week, you do have a 2 up, 2 down. 140. If it breaks through that and starts heading to the downside, then we might actually trigger that quarter. So that's what I want y'all to notice. Also see on the weekly, we are in a downtrend. We're in a head and shoulders. We've broken below the quarter and the month open. So we are full time frame continuity is red. You're just looking for it to break that quarter down and start moving to the downside. Okay. It's kind of similar with SOXL. However, it did break the quarter, so I'm looking for 1250 ultimately on SOXL. All right, no actionable signal there, would just be a 322 continuation. The 2-week, you do have a 3-2 down. So you know, a lot of these, even if it may not be one signal on one time frame, it may be on another. Just remember what time frame you are playing so that you can give yourself enough time for these plays to play out. All right, transportation doesn't look as bad as Jets, but it's getting up there. No actionable signal there on the weekly. On the 2-week, if it wants to continue, you do have a 3-2 down, and no actionable signal on the 7 weeks. And then China, whoosha, yeah, that's bad. I mean, like it's one of those. It broke through all of this. And now it's doing this because it's like, we're so low. I don't know where we're going to go. Yeah, it's not looking good. Your favorite China stock is like just at the bottom of the barrel, I'm sure. Let's look at Baba. Yep, Baba's at the bottom. This is a strong support for it, but it's not doing a whole lot. I believe even Baidu was holding up a little bit better, but nope. We're at the bottom of most of our shoulders now. Baidu does have a little bit more room to go down. But yeah, your favorite China stock is in a toilet. There's not, China has been risky to me because of their gaps, but if it does a 3-2 down, can push your favorite China stock down even more. On the weekly, there's no actionable signal, and there's nothing on these that show us that this is about to turn around. You know, even on the quarter, I remember we had this at the beginning of the year, and I was like, oh, it's great. We might at least come and test this. And that's exactly what we did, and we fell again. Now, even though we did this last year, it took all this entire year to fall right back to the bottom of that. So that's what I would be looking for as far as a bottom with China. Alrighty, so really quickly, let us go through the 50% for the month. Outside quarter, Walmart had triggered the outside quarter, but I don't think that is going to finish. I want to keep it up here though, just in case it decides to run. I don't know if Microsoft may turn things around or something like that. All right, and then Starbucks is close to triggering. 94.47 is going to be your trigger there. DLTR 113.31 will be your trigger there. CRM was about to trigger and came back down, so I am not quite sure yet, only because it's also at the quarter trigger, so it can do either one. Look, watch CRM to see if it's going to move back to the upside and outside month, or if it's going to trigger this quarter down and come on down. I would go with the quarter trigger down, but you know, you never know. Ones that are in force, I'm not quite sure why this isn't showing up. It's not showing up on my thing. Did I do this wrong? 167.17. Oh, that's why. Because 167.17 is the thing. Like, it doesn't matter. Yeah, it doesn't matter which way you draw it. Got the 50%. So it did trigger, and then it came back in. So you just have to see what it does. 167.17 will be the outside trigger for CVX if it wants to do that, because it triggered to the downside, but it didn't finish. So it's one of those ones you also have to watch to see which way it's going to move. But that's on that list. SMCI triggered at 258-ish. So we're looking for 228.26. That may be decent, y'all. With your chips. Remember, we were talking about the chips. Now, this also outside month coming to this 228.77. That's going to be your quarter support. If it breaks that, good night to the chips, y'all. So think about that with Nvidia, and we didn't even look at AMD, but AMD also, all of these could definitely, we had a TTO, this could definitely come down some. Even if it did, let's see. I cannot stop y'all. Oh my God. Well, that's the 50%. That may be why it bounced there before. So, cost is another one. It triggered the outside month. So we're looking for 540.18 if it's going to finish. All right. And a couple of the 7-week plays. Again, thank you, Star. 5-star General. Money Printer Sal. That's his name. It's the one that has me looking at that. But you got your inside week here. So again, chips. If chips are going to be weak, you got Nvidia here with this 212 down. It has lots of room to fall. There's even a PMG here in the 7-week, but I doubt that it's gonna, that's a lot to give. But look at here. On this 2-week, you got your head and shoulders. You got a 3, possible 3, 2 down that will trigger that. I really think that this 400 is going to be a strong level of support, but if Nvidia loses 400, good night, y'all. So you got that 3, 2 down that will trigger the 212 on the 7-week. That will trigger the 3, 1, 2 down on the month. That will trigger the 2 up, 2 down on the quarter. Do y'all hear me? Are y'all listening? I need y'all to watch Nvidia. Okay, Nvidia is going to be the top watch. In fact, I'm texting Kiki right now because I don't think I said that, but girl, Nvidia. Because, yeah, I think she said something to me about it last week, but y'all, it's doing a head and shoulders just to basically fall. Okay. I'm really thinking at least coming down to this 200, 362.66, which honestly would be where it broke out from. And then maybe even this gap. Like, it may not have, that's a whole $100 drop if it does, but I mean, come on. This is what we did. We boosted up, made a whole long head and shoulders, and now it's sitting at support. Like, at the very least, you're going to get this 361, but you might even get that gap fill. You might. It's not impossible. Okay, if we do this, let's see on the weekly. So even if we do the weekly, like from all the way the beginning of that uptrend, we're still at 23%. Okay, so 50% is 305. Yep, 50% of that move. So y'all watch NVIDIA, please, and thank you. TTD is another one. Did you have an inside shooter here with the room to come down? XLC. Now, this is not an inside. I already went over this a little bit when we went over the sectors. It's not inside, but again, it's close enough to where I think you can use this as a 2 up, 2 down sort of breakdown. Same thing with XMK. It would be a 3-2-2 continuation, but this was more like a TTO. It just didn't continue. So you can almost treat this as a 3-1. And then XLE, again, we went through over this on how this looks like a somewhat evening star. All right, your 2-week setup list is long, y'all. You got XLK with the 2 up, 2 down. XLC with the beautiful gravestone doji. This is one of my favorites. You got Apple with the 2 up, 2 down. Tesla with the possible 3-2 down continuation. All right, this is a strong support here, but if it breaks this, good night. We already talked about NVIDIA breaking this 3-2 down, breaking this whole area for the next leg down. CRM with the 2 up, 2 down. TTWO with your possible rev strat here, gravestone doji. UPS 2 up, 2 down. Now UPS may be a little bit at an exhaustion point, so I would be careful. But if UPS can continue, we have a lot of room to go down. All right, if I'm not mistaken, no, it wasn't that. Was it? Oh, it was the year. It was the year. That's what I wanted to point out to you guys, that UPS has triggered the 2 up, 2 down on the year. So 117 is where it actually may go for. So it definitely can continue to go down. If it gives up all of this, it will complete the year. Crowd, not as strong, but you do have a shooter here. So this 3-2 up, 2 down is an actionable strat signal. 3-2-2 reversal. ZS, you got a fresh TTO and a reversal. So the 2 up, 2 down. Cost, another one. 3-2 up, 2 down reversal. AMD, the same thing. 2 up, 2 down reversal. And I believe with AMD to the quarter. Oh yeah, we also are close to triggering in the quarter. So I'm telling y'all, watch chips. All right, Snow. It's another one that you have your 2 up, 2 down. And JPM, absolutely beautiful shooter here. And it is also close to triggering that quarter. So some of these 2-week setups can trigger your quarter or your monthly. So I want y'all to keep those in mind. All right, so we did the 2-week, we did the 7-week, we did the 50%. I think that is it. We did the sectors and SPY. Last but not least is our weekly list. Y'all, I haven't done this in a while, but I'm over here feeling myself a little bit because we put FRO on our list back here, thanks to Jamal, and the IBD paper. And look at it. If you did invest back here at 1850, you are up a good amount. Okay, so just wanted to point that out. I had not looked at the paper this week to be able to bring y'all anything else, but I will for possibly next week. All right, so on your week, you got Walmart with a beautiful rev strat here. These are my top watches. Disney with this possible 3-2 down continuation. Cost with the rev strat. And y'all know that some of these are on our other lists. So these weeklies will trigger the other time frames. Okay. XLE, you have a rev strat here with this gravestone doji. Lulu, you have an evening star here on the week. All right. So, and it's a rev strat. So this 1-2 up, 2 down, Lulu may really move. I'll get to the. Well, these are quarter triggers, but we did not go through these. Ones that have triggered the quarter and still have room to go. HD has triggered down. BA is another one that has triggered down with plenty of room. RCL, again, plenty of room. We talked about SMH about to trigger. ON, another semiconductor chips that has already triggered. And we talked about XLK triggering. or being close to triggering, and XLF already triggered. So those are what I'm watching to see if some of those plays trigger these quarterlies down. Okay. Last but not least, you got Amazon with your inside week we talked about. PEP has a double inside week, so wanted to put that on y'all radar. You have double inside week where it can break hard in either direction, and that's kind of what I'm looking for. If you look on the daily, it's flagging, so it's bear flagging though. So if let me draw that for y'all real quick. See, so bear flagging, looking to see which way that PEP is going to break out. I'm thinking to the downside because it's bear flagging. And then TTWO with this inside week, hopefully it can break out of this range. This is more like a bull flag though, so you have to see which way this goes. But all right, that is all I have for you guys this weekend. Hope you enjoy your weekend. Happy trading, stay safe, and I will see y'all next week. Bye.